I'll sit, and I'm always closest to Dad when I'm in the middle of nowhere, when I'm out in the bush. And there are absolutely moments where I'll be hit with this sense of it's warmth. It's like something kind of wraps around me.
Robert Irwin is making sure he always stays connected to his late dad, Steve Irwin. The 22-year-old wildlife conservationist was a guest on the March 10th episode of Anderson Cooper's All There Is podcast, which talks about grief and loss. In the episode, Anderson and Robert talk about how losing a parent at such a young age can change a child's life, with Robert sharing ways he stays connected to his dad. At one point, the CNN anchor asked the Dancing with the Stars champ if he ever talks to his late father. The question got Robert choked up as he explained how he sometimes senses his dad around him.
There are moments where...
If it's too personal, it's fine.
It's fine. It's really not. There are moments where I'll sit, and I'm always closest to Dad when I'm in the middle of nowhere, when I'm out in the bush. And there are absolutely moments where I'll be hit with this sense of it's warmth. It's like something kind of wraps around me. And I will absolutely sit and just say, how do I go forward? How do you move forward?
Robert was 2 years old when Steve was killed by a stingray while filming a documentary off the coast of Australia in September 2006. But although he may not have many memories of his dad, he tells Anderson that because they are both in the public eye, he always feels a constant thread connecting them. He even shared how he lets his feelings out when the grief overwhelms him.
Sometimes one of the nicest things is to just sit. For me, it's in nature, and I just kind of just let it all go. I let it all sort of pour out, and it feels like I'm kind of letting him in. And sometimes I sit and just go, what's next? How do I put one foot in front of the other? And there's no answer, but it almost feels like there's a resolution that comes out of that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you need to check in. Every now and again, there are these checkpoints I find, like through life, where you're kind of going through the motions, and then sometimes something will just hit you, and you need to just step away. You need to kind of just download, and you need to let loose, and you need to go, okay, I need to refocus. And on what is my grief journey.
There is one particular moment when Robert felt his dad's presence. In the candid conversation, he told Anderson about a crocodile research expedition he did in northern Australia, where they catch, tag, and release animals for preservation purposes. His dad started this research about 30 years ago, and Robert's expedition was his first time leading the capture. After the crocodile was caught, Robert says they noticed something unique had happened.
We go to attach all of the satellite trackers, right? This satellite tracker that just sits here. And Toby goes to my mum. He's like, Terry, this crocodile's gotten a tracking device before. And we're like, that's impossible. We've never caught this croc. We put a little microchip in them so that we can see if we've caught them before. No microchip. We've never caught this crocodile. He's not in any of the records. And while I'm sitting there laying on this crocodile, there's this very distinct marking in one of his scales. And I just had this like little epiphany. I went, hang on a minute, let me check this photo. And there was this old photo that I remember of my dad with a giant crocodile that he'd caught like 20 years ago. And I look at the scale and this pattern, and then I look at this, and then I look at where the tracker had used to be, and I'm like, yep, that is exactly how he attached it. It was a crocodile that my dad had caught 20 years ago. And the craziest bit is we managed to use like satellite technology to figure it out, and we caught him in the exact same spot that he did on an expedition completely randomly 20 years back. And I'm sitting, I'm laying on this croc, and I feel his breath on my face, And I'm looking at this guy and he's looking at me and he's probably thinking, these bloody Irwins. And he's like, and I'm like, whoa, I'm one-on-one with this dinosaur that my dad first experienced. And I remember that being like, I felt like that was Dad being like, this is your first time leading the team. Like, you're on the right track. Here's a little sign. I don't know, it felt like that to me.
In fact, Robert explained to Anderson that he often feels his dad is around, revealing how the experience isn't quite the same as a memory.
To me, my dad is almost more of a feeling than a memory, if that makes sense. Like, the memories that I have of him are so incredibly vague, but they're there. And I think one of the greatest gifts in my life is the fact that my entire existence and my childhood growing up with Dad was all captured on camera. I mean, it is all there. And I mean, you watch Dad for 2 seconds and you get a pretty good picture of the sort of passionate individual that he was.
And even though his dad passed away when he was just a toddler, Robert shared how he is still able to have a relationship with him.
I do feel that. And that was, like, for me growing up, my greatest fear, and it still is my greatest fear, is forgetting what he feels like or what he felt like. And that was something that would, for a long time, really, really keep me up at night. But I think one of the greatest sort of saving graces in keeping him alive, I guess, in my life is my mum. I mean, she is, I think, the reason why I have such a clear picture of the person that he was. I have all of that footage, all of these photos that I can pull from, which I'm so grateful to have that resource, but also my mum to tell stories and to spark those memories and to keep him alive.
Robert also credits his mom, Terry Irwin, for keeping his dad's memory alive and noted when he feels the closest to him.
And I'd go, I want to see a daddy doco. So Mum would put on a documentary of my dad, you know, in some far-flung wild region of the world, doing what he did best. And almost every morning from the age of about 3 to maybe 8 or 9, I would just sit there and I'd watch him. And Dad was and is my hero, absolutely. I feel closest to him when I'm continuing what he loved, when I'm talking about wildlife, when I'm in there, you know, feeding the same crocodiles that he rescued from the wild that were going to be poached or hunted, and he would save them and give them a second chance at Australia Zoo, and now I get to go in there and feed them, and it's that is what keeps me closest to him, is when I'm keeping his work going.